Well, she's another cold day in the north, and we're working on Nomad stuff. I'm dressed to go outside. Can only mean one thing, and it's not good. Anyway, today, Dan here, Diddy Speech Up. Do me a favor, subscribe to the channel. Come on, it's a big deal. I really appreciate it. It costs nothing for you guys. You know, all those clicks and clickbait and stuff like that. Anyway, so we got a 55 Nomad here, beater. Today, we're focusing 100% on rear ends. You know what I like. Anyway, I dragged this out of the basement. I've had this bumper kicking around now for 5 or 6 years. It's a 3-piece 55 car bumper. The wagons had a flat bit right there for the plate. But what we can probably do is just make some sort of bracket so the plate can hang on there. Obviously, on the cars, the plate was on the back of the deck lid. On the wagons, it was on the bumper. So we gotta get that bolted up. I gotta clean up in here. The other thing came in the mail today. Ta-da! Our carpet for the back. It's AstroTurf. I thought it'd be a little longer, but you know what? The dogs will love it. Easy to clean up, and hopefully they won't get the wrong idea and pee in the back, but we'll see what happens. So we gotta put some wood down there, get this on, maybe some aluminum strips, whatever we gotta do. But should be good. I think I we're the right size. Hopefully it's right width is all that really matters. We got length. Oh yeah. Yeah, we should be good. The other thing I want to do, I think I want to get this thing. This is our little body shop lift. Get it dragged under this thing. I keep tripping on it, which is a bit of an issue. But doing the bumper and all that has to go up. Also, since we're pulling that rear end out, you guessed it. Oh, that's what we're doing outside. It's part 3. It's a 3-prong approach today. We're going outside. I have a 12-bolt Chevy that came actually on this car. I believe it was the wrong width, so I want to get it shortened, bolt-in axles, and we got to see. I definitely, best case scenario was a spool. Most likely it was welded, but we'll see if it was a spool and has some decent gears or something like that. We'll see what we can do, but I feel like it's going to be a full rebuild. I know 488s, disc brakes, all that sort of stuff. My little plaid heart wants 12-bolt Chevy in this thing. I have it. We'll get it rebuilt. Mentally, I just feel like that's what I want. So anyways, has to go up in the air if we're pulling the rear end out and whatnot. It's easier to get in there. And I did buy a relocation kit for the leaf springs. So why would we do that on jack stands when we have a hoist? Now the problem is, oh, you know what? I got to change the settings on the camera. Now, a smart man would have done better organizing. I'm not a smart man. We got motors over there. And over here we have tow truck stuff. Everything's covered in snow. This is actually concrete. Luckily the Bobcat does come through. The problem is, like an idiot, I decided to put the rear end in the backyard. So that's a 6-foot fence. We probably got 2.5, 3 feet of snow. I don't remember where exactly I put it. So if I put it beside the house, I was smart. Well, there's a rear end over there. What do you think it is? There's no brakes on it. Oh, that's jammed. Oh yeah, that's the front end. What is this? There's no brake drums. Oh, this is it, actually, I think. Yeah, it's not too bad. I had yeah, this is her. So, I think it's 12-bolt. That's what I remember. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So, oh yeah, this is it. Someone had welded on this funky brace on it and stuff. So this was in the car, but I believe it was too wide. So, I'm gonna struggle. I'm out of shape, guys. But we'll see if I can roll this over, at least get to the Bobcat, drag her out. So it's cold out, and moving this rear end is gonna be a friggin' nightmare. So I came up with a pretty ingenious plan. All right, there is a cable from a tow truck, also a cable from a tow truck, going to A tow truck. I got the boom lifted up high. It's the angle approach. We might mangle that fence a little bit, but you know what? I think we're gonna be good. So I just gotta convince Danny to come outside and run the buttons. And we'll see what happens on the back, but I think it's gonna be pretty good. We pull it out, then we can even re-rig, move the truck over, and so we can pull it right through here maybe? Or just get to the Bobcat, I'm not too sure. But smarter, not harder. Whew. All right, up and out. Rear end is in. So I just kind of looked at it really quick. It's definitely too wide. So Tri-5 Chevys are like 60 inches mounting surface to mounting surface, I believe, which is like Camaro, Nova, all that stuff. And then this is like 62, 3, 4, something like that, which is, I think, probably like full size, you know, like Chevelle and stuff maybe. Don't hold me to that. Maybe it's truck, I don't know. But it's irrelevant because we can shorten it, bolt in axles, and we're set. Now, as you can see, there is e-brake cables on both, which is nice. There's no drums, but whatever. Looks like all stuff is there. I did find this. Star wheel was kind of jammed there, so hopefully I have it on that one as well. No drum to hold stuff in. But we're basically complete. I figured out what it is. Some, I guess, order brake shoes and stuff for it and drums, but that's irrelevant. We're going to open that up right away. But first, I cleaned up in the garage. We're going to call it mediocre cleaning. I pulled the lift to touch the end of the car so I can just got it started. We're going to see what we got for fitment, and I might actually take one of these wheels off and go swap it onto a different rim, because I like these are nicer rims. I believe those are 8s and these are 7s. Kind of irrelevant. We'll see what we can make fit, because cutting the rear end is kind of where we're going to have to get our sizing for it. And I would like to put these big tires on. These are 315/60s. Mickey Thompson also sells a set in a different style. So these are like slicks. They're SVs or something like that. So they're more of a street slick, which is probably better, let's be honest. And they come in a 295/65. So they're slightly narrower, but they have remained the same height. So it actually probably fit a little better. And we're talking about maybe an inch of width or something like that. So whatever. Anyways, I digress. We're going to get on that. We're going to get the rear end in. But you know what I've been bugging me is these stupid quarter windows. People have reached out and offered, and I do appreciate, or vent windows I should say. These are $500 new. I haven't been able to find any used ones. I have most of the stuff that's needed. I mean, you know, the trim and all that. There's just a piece of trim to go on top, which I may actually have. Anyways, I have these brand new windows, which I'd ordered, Auto City there, and everything is the same, except it's just a little bit shorter. Let me line these up. This is a terrible example. So that's all we gotta do. And then, because this is in a sedan, the frame is, you know, kind of curved and does its thing. It's just a little taller. So I'm thinking if I can section this, make it fit in here with the window in it, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. I'll miss the top chrome bit, but what am I gonna do? If I find it, we can just glue it on or do something. But I mean, that's all it is. We just got to get a measurement from here, really. This top piece has to be X number of inches down, and we'll be fine. And it'll look like that. It won't look the prettiest, but again, this here is all that goes on. So it's a pretty simple little setup. But if I find one down the road, we can always swap it in, right? Now, I want to see what's in this rear end. I have a feeling it's going to be a decent gear and probably weld it together. So we'll see what we find. All right, we taking bets? Is this one going to be full of water? Whoa! No friggin' way. Posi! I did not see that coming, and it looks decent. Okay, so a little bit of Googling. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's what that is, the Posi. I've never had a 12-bolt apart, really. Well, I had an open one apart in a old Chevy truck. So I think those spring things make it limit slip. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? Anyways, I counted all the teeth. This has a terrible ratio of 276 or something like that. I did some Googling. I guess there's like 3 different carriers and they can take different gear ratios. So this being that gear ratio, the carrier's like a standard, or 2, or number 2, which can go from this gear ratio up to a 373. So 373 is probably the gear I want anyway. So that should be fine. This thing, I'm telling you, push it, both wheels were for sure locked together. A little bit of a nightmare. But I guess we could test it real quick, eh? Idiot. But that's irrelevant. We're going to bolt this thing back together. It looks like it's in good shape. It's all there. I'm happy with it. We'll go ahead and drop it off the rear end guy and see what he can do for me. I guess price out axles and all that, because it may add up quite quickly. But I'm confident and I'm happy it's not full of water. I have pretty low standards. But yeah, I don't know, maybe I'll start the windows or bumper on, or we'll figure something out. We got all day. Well, let's do some windows. Obviously, well, I've taken all the glass out of the driver's side. Now, if you happen to be new here for some reason, I built this door. This is out of a sedan and a part of a hardtop. And that's what gives us our Nomad door. They are unique to Nomads, but essentially it's just a cobbling together of a hardtop and a sedan. So I did my own thing versus spending a bunch of money because I had a sedan door and a hardtop door, so worked out. Now what I've done, we pulled out the vent window. It's actually this one we're going to use. This is just a, well, we need backups. And we're going to put it all together. Now what I think I'm going to do is this is the little rubber seal that goes around. So we're going to use this as a bit of a template, kind of fit that in here. If I do it just real quick, you can kind of see, maybe not quite so easy, but you can see how it doesn't quite fit in there. So we got to take about that much out, maybe a 1/2 or 3/4 of an inch. So we'll get that taken out. This is the little piece that fits on the inside, right there, all the new stuff, so it'll all fit. The real issue we're going to into is the top here is supposed to have like a threaded piece or something like that for the trim to go on. Well, we can always weld something on there if we have to down the road. So that's what we're going to focus on first. And then we have, you know, new felts that ride down here and the fuzzies that'll ride on the inside of the trim. So we have that all taken care of. Now, we're going to start on that. Then we also have to move on to making the window fit. Now this gap is not quite wide enough. As you can see, I kind of hit with a grinder. Now the reason for that is Nomads are different. Instead of the window itself running up and down a track, it has this track that goes with it, kind of. Look how wide that is. This whole piece runs up and down a track. So I bought the piece. That's that. So this is actually going to be in the door, and that's what the window rides up and down. And I don't know if there's supposed to be any material in there. The other door doesn't have any. It could just be old. Anyway, so as you can see, basically the opening has to be about that size, which we're not bad. But when we get up to here, it shows up in camera, we got to widen it a little. So I'm just going to zip cut probably a little bit out of it, and then I have a a little grinder will auger this out, make it look nice. So we got to put this in. I'll have to match the other side and figure out, it just screws in. So I'll have to drill some holes or do something. See, Nomad, $70. Ah! Anyway, let's get going on this. The way this goes in is the wing window has to be in first. So really we'll get it kind of chopped and welded so it's fitting in the trim, get the glass in there, get it bolted in, and then we can move on to the, the window. The wing window, I have yet to have, I've got 6 or 7 Tri-5s. I've yet to crank the wing window even open, but they look cool, so I want to have it in there. And really, it'll just be stationary. But we'll make it work. We don't half-ass stuff around here at Dee Dee's Speed Shop. So we're gonna go ahead and use this Nomad as a table. We're gonna give this a quick cut. So now I'm gonna screw around and try and fit this in the best I can. There's a left and a right, I believe. And I had the other one. So we'll get this fit in, and then this will give us an idea of how much we're gonna cut out of the side. We'll do a little weld and clean up. And then we should have ourselves a hardtop fin window-ish. So I got this thing kind of eyeballed in there. Obviously we got to trim it flush. I decided not to put all the whatever felts and stuff in it because this is not quite gonna work how I want. It will work, but it's kind of buckshy together. And we're not talking about something super rare. I'll be able to find another one. So what I did, you can see on this, it's like a big cast piece and it's square. And then it's got all these little holes in it for the trim that goes on top. So I'll show you the other side, but basically I went up and I just kind of folded it around and then back, and I'm gonna weld it into this channel. It'll work. There's also where the pivot, where the top of the window does its little swing. So at the bottom, obviously it'll be on a crank, which will hold it pretty sturdy. And then this little pivot. Well, the pivot is not the same on a sedan and a hardtop, or whatever. It's kind of different. So you can see what I did. I just rounded that piece over and I gave it a quick weld, and this is not really lining up. So that's a bit of a bummer. I mean, it's in there. It's not going to go anywhere. And odds are, I mean, you could open and close it. It'll just all be doing the pivoting on the bottom, which I have to put the piece in and all that. But for now, that's close enough that we can, I think, move on to fitting the window itself before I go too crazy. I'm going to zip this off real quick. I mean, it looks kind of ugly. No bones about it. But we'll paint it black or something. No. And this, I measured it from the tip of the door to the back of the channel. It is the same on both sides. So we should be able to go up and down. I thought there was some chrome or something there, but I guess not. Huh. This one has it. Where'd I put it? Damn. So I got the glass in and working. I got just a pair of pliers holding it up. I did have to do a little trimming at the back just to make everything fit. I got this piece in. I actually just give it a tack weld in. It did have some screws, but why screw it when you can weld it? And ultimately, again, it's kind of a two-hand operation, but you'll have to take my word for it. It does go up and down. The screwdriver, or the pliers now jammered in there. But once we get the regulator in it, I'm not worried about that falling. It should do its thing. So I think that'll work. I'm going to give those another couple more tack welds. Now there's a lot of load on it. It's just guiding this thing up and down. Again, the regulator is going to be a whole other kettle of fish because we're going to have to cut it in half and reclock it and see where we're at, which may be a little tricky. I was hoping I'd be able to do it in the door, but based on the fact that it's all hidden, I don't think we're going to be able to see where we want to be. Maybe if I get it right low. So I'll be playing with that and bring it back, but that should go okay. At the very least, the window does go up and down properly on a track, so we can hold up with a ratchet strap wherever the door closed properly. I did check, it does, you know, it follows the curve. It is what it is. I mean, it's glass in a homemade door. What could possibly go wrong? So we're on the workbench here. Now, what I have is a passenger side window regulator, and the way it would be is it would be in the car, something like that. And this would be all the way up. The window is holding it. Now, the problem is we put it in the driver's side. You flip it, it's now upside down. So what I did was I traced this out. So what I'm thinking I should be able to do is slice this down the middle, change this crank so it goes all the way. So basically up is down, down is up. So now if we're in the up position passenger side, if I then crank it all the way down, leave this where it is, and then weld this kind of where it should be, however this would be, I'm thinking we'll be okay. I'm hoping. I mean, whatever, we can cut it in half and weld it back together 15 times, but basically the distributor is 180 out, so we're going to fix it. So we went back and forth a few times, the safety of the boredom of it. Obviously, I mean, everything kind of fit, which I knew, and it was going to be too short, which I thought maybe we'd sneak it, but obviously we didn't. Obviously, I'm going to say obviously, when we cut this piece and kind of brought it back, we lost, you know, whatever it was. So I ended up doing the math. I measured from this, you know, rivet kind of center pivot point to where it was originally. It was like 15 3/4 of an inch. So then I measured from there to where I had to be, 15 3/4, and that's about what we were short. So I had another window regulator. I just cut the piece off and I lengthened it versus trying to lengthen and keeping the factory one. So we should be good. They both had a curve in it, so it should be okay. Gave her a pretty good weld there. I welded both sides and I cleaned this up. I don't know if I guess it shouldn't touch anything. But, you know, just in case, kind of kept it as low pro as possible. So I got to just lube up this one wheel now. Make sure it's good. It should slide in and work, I'm hoping. So we'll either have the window going up and down next, or we'll be back at the bench cutting this thing in half. Or putting a ratchet strap on to hold the window up like an old race car. Yeah, I'm not going great. We ran into a slight situation, but we're going to persevere. So the issue being, you know, the door obviously had a piece back here that would go around this, actually I think it was this way. So because we've clocked, I guess, the spring up maybe or whatever, it was just in a different area. And then two of the holes don't line up. Like, I don't know. I can't imagine this is anything other than Tri-5. But I guess I could be wrong. Anyway, so I cut the door out. And I've cut the little pieces, so worst case we can put it back together. But I think what I'm going to do now is I put the glass in. We have this little protective barrier. I'm going to go ahead and just weld this piece in with the glass and all that together, and then see if it works. Because I don't know how I was so off somehow. It has to be longer. I don't know. It could be, I don't know if I said this or not, but I was thinking this could be one of those things where maybe it has a hard top Regulator and a sedan door or something like that. And this is all sedan stuff, so maybe it's different. I don't quite know. Or it could just be that I'm flipping it upside down and nothing is gonna work. But I'm gonna weld this piece on. We'll see if the glass goes up and down. If it does, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And we'll keep going on. But worst case, the window is in the track proper. We can kind of close this thing up and not have, I was always worried with it being all bent. I'm gonna slam the door and it's gonna crack the glass. So at least now it's proper. We just gotta figure out how to make it go up and down. Yeah. So I'll screw around here, we'll set the camera up, and hopefully it'll be good. So like just weld it together and be done with it, because I'm frustrated. So, a little ways later, they're all together. It doesn't look fantastic. Again, if we had that piece of trim there, it wouldn't look so bad, but it's the way she goes. Now, one thing I gotta do immediately is put in a stop. So I put on the trim just to kind of see what it looked like. We can now put on the door panel, which I have made. But this piece here, so the window goes up and down. The problem is it goes, I mean, it'll go all the way up. Obviously, if it goes all the way up like that and we close it, it will smash. So that's not good. The other side has stoppers that don't allow it to go up so high. It goes all the way down. I don't know if that's, I mean, it's sitting on the stop. I mean, it's a sedan stop. Maybe it's different. I can always modify that in there. Maybe it's actually adjustable, but should be mostly good. I put on just a piece of wire for the door handle, but it works. It's just a rod from factory, so that's the same. I said I'm not going to fill in that just yet. We'll wait. Well, this is all actually working now. So if we want, we can open vent window. Eh? Look at that. We'll just go ahead and leave that closed. So everything works ish. So now I'm going to hang the door panel on it. I hose everything down with PB Blaster, so it should be good. Really, I have to be on the look for a proper, I'm going to keep a little piece like cut out of that door because it'll just weld back together like nothing. We're on the look for a proper window regulator. That'd be nice, but it is what it is. This is what will work for now. And if that's as far as we get, it's as far as we get. The wing window is top priority. Everything else just kind of works. It's hot rod, right? So I'll put that back together, put the other one back together, take a bit of a break, and I don't know, we'll be back out doing something else, or maybe tomorrow. It is Saturday. I think we're going to go live tonight, so I have to clean up the garage a little bit and crank the heat because Danny's pretty and doesn't like being cold. Yeah, man. This little screw around stuff takes so much time. So much time. But the alternative was pay a pile of money. I don't know if I said it or not, but they sell proper hardtop mechanisms, $500. I'm sure a window regulator would be $200-300 as well. So, you know, drop $1,000 on a door or waste an afternoon. Well, it's a new day, Sunday morning. Do a little bit of work. So last night we did our little live stream there. If you were there, awesome seeing you. If not, you should be there. So I did a little bit of work while we were, you know, wrenching around, stuff like that while we had the camera going. I changed the side glass on this thing. So we got the wing window in, all proper. I had to dismantle the entire door, but we got it all back. Everything's looking good. The only thing I ran into, which is a little weird, is this window. You can actually like push it down. Well, maybe not. I could last night. And it would actually undo the, it would roll the window. So that's kind of weird, but that's all together. That side we finished, I think, yesterday. Yep. So that's pretty, it just has kind of finished. A little bit of finishing work. We did a little bit of things to the motor. We hooked up the gauge properly, the oil pressure with the little copper line stuff. So today we're gonna finish this thing up with the projects we got going on. So we're gonna hang the back bumper on real quick. Then we're gonna lift it up in the air. Then we're gonna pull the rear wheels. do a little measuring and screwing around and make the decision how wide we want this rear end. Do we want to go stock width, or do we want to shave an inch or so out of it? So we got to make those choices. I'd like to see also with these big tires on it, how much room we have between the wheel tub, if it gets tight in there or not. So there's a lot of screwing around. So I'll get the bumper on real quick. We'll get this thing up in the air, have a little bit of fun. All right, we're up in the air a little bit, but I don't know if you saw in the old video, fast motion, but the tailgate is going to hit these little bumperettes, which have our plate lights in them, which is unfortunate. I guess the convertible ones must be shorter or something, so maybe we can chop these up, modify them, and, you know, re-chrome them with a little bit of paint or something, or figure out another situation, which is too bad because I actually I really like the rear bumper on a 55 Chevy. This is just sitting on there, it's ugliness, it's not fit or nothing. I never put the bolts, they have a bolt that goes here to the body. Never put those in there because a buddy of mine told me years ago, he did it, and got in just like a very minor fender bender, like a guy kind of rear-ended him, just dunked the corner, and you're like, oh, it wouldn't be too big of a deal, except being attached to the body, there's a hole there, it crinkled the whole quarter panel. So a little 5-mile-an-hour collision ended up being quite an ordeal. So they flap. But you know what? Whatever. So now let's talk tires and get your guys' sweet opinion. So actually, you know what? We'll start on the top here. So we've got this thing hanging. So the suspension is drooped as much as it will do. So honestly, I have 2-inch lowering blocks. It would probably sit something like this at ride height, which actually doesn't look terrible. I do like tire tuck, but we can deal with this. Now, the quarter panel, it's just lightly kissing there, but not too bad. And the other side is actually fine, which I assume is probably just the way the quarter panel is or how I installed it. Oh no, it's actually just barely rubbing. So this thing is pretty squared up, not too bad. Also, when the suspension's hanging, the rear end goes forward, so really, it's not too bad of a deal. And it's all kind of rolled over, and this becomes flat out, so we can just roll that and be fine. And worst case, I mean, we could slice a line of that, fold the thing in just a little bit, re-weld it, and no difference. We have all the room in the world. So the cool thing about a 55 Nomad, 1 year only quarter panels, it's got kind of a radius look to it, which is kind of neat. I don't know, it's not, I prefer, you know, dead round. When I did my 55 Chevy, that's what these tires are off of. So these are 315 60s, so they're like 31 by 13s. I use this tire as a mock-up on the side of it. So, you know, traced the line, I think I did like a 1/2 inch or an inch around and then cut it out. So lots of room. And honestly, Tri-5 Chevys can tuck a decent tire. Your biggest issue is always the quarter panel. Now, underneath here, our issue is this side is just barely touching, but the tire is actually rubbing the leaf spring. I think that's why I have a spacer on. So that's the other thing I gotta remember. The stock width plus a 1/4 inch just barely fits these tires. Now, the kit I had bought will move this leaf spring to right here. So it'll be underneath the frame. So you're like, oh, well, I have all sorts of room. Yes and no. Then we run into the wheel tub, which, as you can see, it's kind of hard to show there, unfortunately, but it's better with the light. I'd say there's about 1 inch, so we're actually doing okay. Oh, you can see in there. So if we move the leaf spring, you gain 1 inch, you get the real width when you expand the tub over to the frame, which we're not going to do. But we actually have a lot of room outways, like lots and lots. I mean, if you can see from the side here even, it's a little goofy, but, you know, There's lots. We can roll this lip. We can do all sorts of kind of funny things. So, oh, there's a spacer on this side. So to make these fit, our stock plus a quarter out. So honestly, the stock width is probably the way to go. With a 8-inch rim, I'd probably have that backspace to be correct anyways, which would really help. And we have the room on this side to screw around to roll a lip, trim a little bit, do what we gotta do. And that gets us further away from the wheel tub as well as the leaf spring. Again, with a big kind of sidewall like that, they are radials, but I still worry about like a hard corner. You're gonna tear sidewall out. And these tires are, I mean, I think they're $1,000 for the pair. Like, they're not freaking cheap. So I think we'll just go with a stock width. I'm gonna measure that one. We'll see what it is. We're gonna pull the wheel off on one side here, see what it looks like. We'll go ahead and make our choice. But those are my thoughts. You guys better be commenting in the comment section here, because once you cut this thing, it's hard to change your mind after the fact. Well, I've been doing a pile of measuring. I'm going to talk it out to you guys, so I think I have it nailed. I put a straight edge across the rim there to get the back spacing. It actually is the exact same as the one that was off the Sebring, which is that one. These are some nicer shape. And my God, that's a 275/60. So that's like a 28 by 10 tire. Now realizing it's hanging, it would be up more, but I can't get far enough away here. That tire looks so small. I mean, we have the benefit of the Nomad, you know, radius wheel wells. We might as well fill them. So now that being said, underneath, I mean, look at the amount of freaking room we have here. Ugh. I mean, you have all the room there, no issues, obviously, between the wheel tub, all the room there. It's just ridiculous. And then straight up, there's lots. Now, with these tires, I think this is, I'm pretty sure it's a 7-inch rim. So, look at can't really show. I don't know how much bubble there is in that tire in the sidewall, but a lot. Of course, I'm in the corner here like a dummy. You'd think somebody would plan as a professional. So that's 2 1/4 worth of poke out from the rim. So that's our ballooning effect, which whatever. We're not making a race car. It's just for looks. And if I could find a set of daisies that are 8 inches wide, I'd be all over it. But you know what? I don't have any right now. So that's that. Now, I haven't measured this rear end, but it's a Tri-5 rear end, so I'll take the other wheel off and double check. A factory Tri-5 rear end is 60 inches mounting to mounting. Now, this rear end is 60, I believe it's 62. I did the measurement across, which is, I did a little Googling, either later Chevelle, which this one might, I think Chevelle would have had mounts at the top, maybe them cut off, I don't know. Or it could have been Chevy truck. They were also 62 inches wide. All kind of irrelevant, 62.5. So I think what I'm going to do is we're going to do a 60.5 width. So it'll be a 1/2 inch wider, 1/4 on each side for the factory. That is the same as a 64, 5, 6, 7 Chevelle, that kind of smaller size. Not that that means anything. And then that will essentially give us the exact same amount of width as we currently have with a 1/4 inch wheel spacer. And then if we put on a 295/65 tire, that will shrink it up a little bit. So we'll have lots of wheel tub room. We should be fine there. That'll keep the circumference the exact same. It'll just take, I think it was an inch narrower. So in theory, it's a 1/2 inch less bubble on each side. We're still gonna have this issue to take care of. We'll move the leaf springs over and we'll have all sorts of room. Like here, I can fit my hand between the wheel tub and the tire, no issue. So, that's an inch. So we'll have an 1.25-ish, 1.5 inches, depending on how those tires bubble up on the rim. So we'll have lots of room side to side. Top and bottom, we have lots of room. Again, we can roll that fender and go from there. So that's, I think, what I'm going to do. I'm going to think about it for a day, but probably drop this thing off and have them start ordering some parts. I'm going to steal all the... should probably take all the brake stuff off it. Maybe I'll leave it together. I don't know what I'm going to do there. Anyways, that's enough of this for right now. I'm going to put the tire back on. I'm going to measure the rear end, put the tire back on. I want to finish the AstroTurf because I said I was going to. We'll get that in there. And this thing is like kind of done for the short term until we get wheels and tires, or tires, a rear end, and I'm getting it lettered. So there's gonna be some lettering on here. Maybe we'll do that video on that. That'll be in a few days from now. I'm excited for that. The thing's together. We have ourselves like a running, driving Ratty Nomad. I'm pretty excited. I saved you my woodworking skills. I used a grinder and a Sawzall. But we got it all kind of dialed together in the front. So the typical floor would have had kind of two holes there with metal plates to get to the shocks. I undid the shocks, one fell out, one's still attached underneath. I'm going to be, when I do the leaf spring kit, I will also be putting in a cross brace which changes where the shocks are. So these Tri-5s are stupid. As much as I love Tri-5s, they did some very stupid things. The shocks went through the trunk floor, which inevitably always wore out. And if they didn't wear out, it cracked the sheet metal all around it. So they sell as a brace that goes across the top of the frame, like over the axle kind of, you know, where it kind of curves up. You go across and you just put it in, it just drops it down a couple inches, use the factory shocks, everything's the same. And it stiffens up the frame and it takes the shocks out of the body. So I recommend doing that. I did it in my 55, everything else still through the trunk floor, so I'm an idiot. And then when it comes to the floor here, I forget what the wagon had. I was gonna go look at it, but I thought I had a bunch of junk in there. So I just kind of cut a hole that'll kind of snap in. In the factory, the wagon, there's like little spring clips that hold the back section of the floor in. So we'll recreate something along those lines. But really, I just cut it to length, had a little notch, which the Nomad, because it has such a drastic tailgate. So we had to cut that around. So I'll set the tripod up. We should be able to slide this all in, make it look pretty. I aluminum my wire together, so if I drill through one wire, I will ruin all of them. That'll be pretty sweet. We'll get this in. I'm going to glue down the AstroTurf onto a few different pieces, and I think what I'll probably do, it might be expensive. I got to go to Home Depot or Rona or something like that. I'll get some edging material or aluminum or something like that, or at the edge of stairs, you know, something like that, and I'll just kind of screw that in. So I'll probably screw the, I don't know if I can screw it down. We'll see how it is when it sits in there. Maybe a couple screws just to hold it. Glue everything down and then just put some edging strips around it. And I think I'm going to cascade the carpet over into the black carpet. We'll do like a little run across there. But it's ridiculous. But in my head, it's ridiculous. So it'll be fine. So I went to the hardware store. Got a few things. Huh? Huh? Okay. Hang on. So I put this on real quick. What I ended up picking up was, this is like these little transition strips or whatever, aluminum stuff. So I got some, I think it's inch and a bit, and this is inch. So my plan was, obviously I've cut out the bit. So I screwed down the wood and then just laid over the AstroTurf, and then I cut out the section. So I'll kind of, you know, gibbled now. I got to pull it back. The spray-on glue is not working the best, so we got the hot glue gun out. Give it a few dabs, just kind of hold it. But realistically, the AstroTurf has like a rubber bottom, so it actually has a fair bit of grip to it. So it'll be like regular, you know, regular car carpet. It's not glued down, it should be fine. So I basically just put it down. I use this stuff here. This will be the exit side. So we're going to use the wide one across the wheel wells and across the back. So we'll need two little strips there and there. And then we're going to use this little guy to go around there, there, and there. That'll kind of hold it. And then we'll put some sort of, you know, strip across the front. I don't know how far it's going to go or what we're going to do yet. But yeah. And I think I got enough of this to do the tailgate as well. This stuff, which wasn't bad. It was like $8 a strip, which is actually, I thought, pretty reasonable. And it's got a cool little, so it's got a little angle on it. So I guess I'll show you the side I didn't cut. So, I don't know, kind of grips it. The factory Tri-5s have, you know, little angle sheet metal that goes around everything. And it's all screwed in, so it is what it is. And I got some brass screws, because let's be honest, I'm fancy. So I'm gonna climb in here, I'm gonna move all this stuff, and I'm gonna start by gluing the kind of opening. The mat's a little wide, so I'm gonna line that side up, line that side up, get with it, buddy. Glue it, screw around a little bit with some strips. We'll make some of those, do that. We're gonna have to do a little modification because it's got the overhang a little, but whatever, we'll figure it out. Slice that, put our ends down. We should be golden, and a little hot glue to hold it. It's like arts and crafts. I gotta say, the green's it's working for me. I like it. Hold your judgment till the end though, please. I would appreciate that. Car's on the table. I tried filming inside the car with you guys, and I'm not built for interior work in a car with a camera and trying to explain things. I knocked the camera over like 15 times, so I decided, screw it. I just did it. But it turned out friggin' fantastic. Come on. Look at that. Now, I haven't done the tailgate yet, so that we can do, you guys can watch on your chair, on your throne. So we got that. It's all, you know, it probably looks better on camera. It really is. There's some sharp edges and stuff I got to go over and sand down. You know, it'll do its thing. Everything works. For the tailgate, I think what I'm going to do is just kind of box it around here and not do this section, because the bigger this gets, that's where everything sits around here. I mean, it kind of is what it is. I don't know, I'll have to look at some other Nomads or maybe wagons and see what people do to kind of finish it off. It definitely doesn't look the prettiest, but this is the carts going on. So we'll just go ahead and do this top bit. It'll look cool. The rest will be black. I mean, on a, what's it called? On a regular tailgate of a truck, I mean, you have your, you know, your rhino liner or your bed protector, and then in the middle it's just paint, and it is what it is, the bumper. So I think it'll be fine. So let's set the camera up. We'll get this dialed to be very simple. We're going to use hot glue because it's working great. We're going to hot glue it. We're going to cut all around. I'll then take a bunch of this, kind of trim it in. I will have to, do 2 pieces around here. So this is the centering. We're going to cut this hole out after, so I'll put a piece of aluminum or something on top so we can service our sweet latch. And then here, what I think I might do is actually do it opposite and put it on the bottom side like that, so we can have it just kind of go over a little, carry on the material. So yeah, I don't have many of the kind of, brass, whatever, bronze screws left, and they're also wood screws, but we'll see how they work on the tailgate. Nothing's permanent, and we can always take it apart and fix it. All right, so we got our AstroTurf laid right out. So we're gonna kind of line up the edge just a little bit here. We want it just hanging over like that. Then just a little bit of hot glue to hold it. This is pretty much professional right here. Really suits the rest of the interior. So I'm gonna do that. Now we're just gonna kind of hold it there with the glue, and then we'll simply run a razor blade around the edge. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, we have an inch or so of, kind of cover up, so something along the lines of that, like that on the side. A fancy guy, fancier myself, would miter cut those at a 45, but I'm not that fancy. Okay, we're all done. Actually, she's talking to Danny, and thanks for watching the shitty ads. She's talking about it. So I agree. I know it's a hassle, but it makes us tens of pennies. So rear end, I haven't done anything with it, but I feel like we struck gold with this thing being a Posi unit and complete with all the brakes. So all the hardware, I got to price it all out. Don't break stuff on the ground there. That was stored perfectly. Man, a lighter and a Canadian screwdriver. It's a Robertson, it's a square end. The Americans don't even know what that is. They probably think it is garbage. So I'll get this all dialed together and in the truck and go talk to the driveline guy later this week. Glass in, all the stuff on it. Now you're ready to see the back here. Maybe I can open the window. Look at that. I think it came out pretty good. So the transition is not ideal between the two, but it's there. That wire is fuel tank sender. Okay, ready for this? Oh, I'm still looking. I still got like one of these locks here. We'll just be gentle. So there you go. I think it came out pretty good. I've spent a bunch of time, and I got to go over all the edges and sand them all down nicely because they are sharp. But you know what? They do the trick. For now, that's all taken care of. So I think this thing is mostly together. We got to do the B-pillar and then kick panels. So I think we might do that next. So this thing is basically done for right now. We're going to do the rear end, maybe a few little odds and ends, tires, stuff like that. We're going to wait on seats, get those dialed together. This thing is like 90% ready to hit the road as far as I'm concerned. And I'm excited for that, but it's middle of winter. I'm not driving it just yet. I love this car. I would never drive it in the snow. Danny didn't buy it. Maybe someone on the internet will. So we got to figure out a few, like, you know, license plate lights and all that. Next video up, I'll probably one more on this. I'll do the interior bits, and I got my buddy Joe coming over, and he's going to leather up the quarter panels. So I got to actually clean off whatever oil and whatnot I have on it. But I'm excited. We got some cool lettering on it, like old gasser style stuff. Since this is going to be, I'm thinking a keeper for at least the short term, we might as well make it a DD speed shop. People are all over me to take it to Power Tour. I'm not gonna lie, I really want to, but no overdrive. We did that last year. We'll see. Anyways, that's where we went now. Finish that off, then it's to the wagon. We're jamming through Tri-5s. Then Danny's car's coming home. So thank you very much for watching. Subscribe. Danny's smiling. I just say that for her so she feels like her car's coming home. I gotta rob some parts off it, so we might as well do it here locally. Thanks for watching. Do me a huge favor and subscribe to the channel. It makes a world of difference. I know it's a hassle to watch the ads and hit the button and all this work, but it allows me to waste money on AstroTurf and transition strips from Home Depot to build custom one-off Nomads that I've ruined. I've ruined it, people. That's what the internet says. But until the next day of ruining, I'll see you later. Have a good one.